Hello, this is Daniel from Arizona HVAC 561 Air Heat. Today I want to talk about outside unit condensers and how you can quickly determine what is wrong with it, possibly fix it yourself. Um, it's simple, but you got to be careful. If you don't have any experience with high voltage, be very, very careful, or just don't do it and call for your local service company. Okay, this is a Carrier 3-ton condenser. 410A unit is fairly new, really there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just using this one as an example. I already took the cover off. You only need a few basic tools to open this unit up. Usually you're gonna need a nut driver, 5/16 or 1/4 inch. Also you might need a flathead. And you're gonna need a meter. This meter right here, it's a very simple meter. I picked it up at discount store. I paid like $5 for it. This is field piece. This is what most of technicians used. This one gives me a lot more options, and I've been using field piece since the field piece came out, just because it's made for AC work. You can use it for all other reasons, all other work also, but it gives you a lot of options on directly connected with the AC work. Okay, so I took the cover off using my nut driver, and basically this is standard design for 90% of condensers. Lennox, Trane, Goodman, Rheem, Root, in this case Carrier. I got standard few components. Some of the units are a little bit more complicated, the other are less complicated, but almost each and every unit's got this is starting capacitor. Capacitors go bad. Okay, this is the part that would not be ever covered under factory warranty. They overheat, they just go bad. Every 3 years, hopefully longer, 5 years, you're gonna have to need your capacitor. You're gonna need new capacitor. This thing right here is a starting. This is actually a 2-pole relay. Okay, what the relay does, it's like an on and off switch. You got power coming from inside to the relay. There is electromagnet right there. If the signal comes from a thermostat, this button right here gets pulled in and unit starts. I get the 24-volt signals on those 2 wires. The button gets pulled in and the unit starts. Okay, and on the top, the power goes from the bottom to the top, and the top basically goes to your starting capacitor and goes to your fan motor, which is located right on top of the unit right there. So all those parts, they gotta work in order for your condenser to work properly. So let's say you're gonna come in home and your air handler inside, the blower is working, but you're not getting cold air. Okay, please take the cover off. Be very careful. Take the cover off. Use insulated screwdrivers, nut drivers. Don't get shocked. This is not the point here. If you're not comfortable with it, just use your local company. But the first thing you want to do, literally, you want to push this button on your contactor, and if you hear your compressor and fan going on, that means you got power. It might be issue with your thermostat, or it might be issue with the float switch, which basically means your drain line is clogged up, and that's why the contactor doesn't get the signal. So I'm gonna show you really quick how to check the power. I'm gonna use the cheap $5 meter. The power comes in through this knockout right here. Okay, I can see, goes through like through the electrical line and then goes inside the house. So I know this is the way power comes in. 90% of the time it's gonna go to the bottom of the contactor. Okay, so if you put a port one on common and one on the other side, you know, you can read that I get power here. It's 243. It's a little bit high, but you know, still very good. It's a standard. So at this point, you know, I know I'm getting power to the contactor. Okay, then or you can do, you know, if you got those kind of probes, you can basically mount them on top, attach them to the wires, you know. Listen, again, I'm using the probe that I have in case and I carry in my motorcycle, you know. This is not professional probe I would use for this, you know, at any point. It's just because, you know, it's not that comfortable to work with. So right now I connected two probes to the top of the contactor on both sides. So if I, you know, this is how we check the contactor. If I press this button, the unit goes on and shows me voltage on the top. So basically what that means I'm getting power from the bottom to the top. So that means the power goes to the capacitor and goes to the fan. So if this is what's happening, and let's say your fan works but your compressor won't kick in, there's two different reasons. Number one, your starting capacitor might be bad. Number two, you might have an issue with the compressor, and you know, maybe there's not enough refrigerant in it, or maybe you know, it's grounded. If you do that and your breakers are popping out, that means you don't have, your compressor is grounded. See, right now the thermostat kicked in. I'm not touching anything. The contactor is pulled and my unit is working. You know, the compressor works, everything works. So I'm gonna disconnect that really quick so I can show you how to check your capacitor. So I just shut down my unit on disconnect. You know, I'm gonna use my other meter right now to check the power again. You know, you gotta always check the power before you pull the disconnect out, shut the unit out on the breaker, you know, whatever way you use to shut your unit down. Double check the power, you know. Sometimes some electricians or some handymans, they bypass this, and you know, you think that there is no power, and power is actually there. So you know, as you can see, I got zero, I got no power. You know, at this point we know, see, I checked the top and the bottom of the contactor. So at this point we know the contactor is good. It's actually still pulled in because the signal comes in on 24 volts from a thermostat. So you know, this is 24 volts, nothing's gonna happen to you. But it's the only reason why this contactor is still pulled in, because the signal comes from air handler, and that's a separate line. This is low voltage line, this is high voltage line. Low voltage line is used for thermostat, float switches, basically communication between air handler condenser and the thermostat. Okay, right now, you know, I want to show you how to check capacitor. Capacitor's got usually 3 ports and 3 wires going to it. Best advice I can give you, before you disconnect capacitor, take a picture. Take a picture, so then you know how to connect it back on. Okay, so you know, obviously I'm making video, so, and I know this by heart, so I don't need to take a picture, but take the picture of the colors and the ports that the wires go to. Okay, also the most important thing, those things, they carry a charge. Okay, so you want to make sure before you start pulling everything out, ground it down. That means ground down each and every line, each and every leg to the case. You know, this way there will be no charge in capacitor, and if you're gonna pick it up with your bare hands, you know, you won't get shot. Okay, so usually there is a screw right here on the side. It's this screw right here. As soon as you pull that out, you can actually pull the capacitor out of the casing. Okay, so let me do that really quick. So really quick, important things. There's a HERM port. That means compressor. Yellow, which is on C. I don't know if you can see this. There's a little C right there. That's a common. And brown wire, 90%, well 100% of the time, it's gonna say fan, F-A-N. Okay, so you got common, HERM, which is the compressor, and fan. So basically what it does, the common, the power comes to the common, goes to capacitor, and capacitor is kind of like a starter. It gives you that first push to get the compressor or a fan, working, that first spin. As soon as they got the first spin, they run on a they spin on the run mode, but that first spin, just like a motor in a car, they need that extra push, and this is what capacitors do. They give you that extra push. Let me just disconnect those ports really quick. I'm gonna use my dikes, and I'm gonna show you how to check capacitor. Okay, so this is 50 plus 5 microfarads capacitor, 44370, which is a little bit better, higher voltage. That means lasts longer. Titan HD, very well known on the market. Like I said, you got 3 ports. It's pretty hard to clean that, but if you can see, one of them right here says HERM, one of is C, which stands for common, and the other is fan. Okay, so to check if the capacitor is good, 2 different things. Look at the part itself. This one is a nice smooth cylinder. Sometimes you see those leaking. There's like almost like a gelatin goo leaking out of it. At this point, it's bad. Sometimes they are rusted, sometimes they bulge out, like they get fat in the middle, or top or the bottom pops out, and at this point that the part was overheated and needs to be changed. You don't have to use any metering device, nothing. Okay, this one is good. I pulled it out of the good unit, but I'm gonna show you how to check this really quick. So what I used right here is my field piece meter. I put it on microfarads. Microfarads is it's basically how you check your capacitors. This one, it should be 50 on the compressor and 5 on the fan. Okay, so look what I did. This is my common right here. I mean, you can't see it right now, but underneath that says little c, and this is my fan right here. And if you look really closely, let me see if I can zoom in. On that. Okay, it says fan right there. So if I connect my 2 probes on that, this is the reading I get. I get 5, which is perfect. The smallest number on the description on the label is always fan. The bigger number is always compressor. Okay, obviously fan motor doesn't need as much power push as the compressor. Okay, so that's why the smaller number is always for a fan. It varies. You can have 3.5, 5, 7. I saw the fans that run on 10. Okay, so this one is on 5. This is fairly new unit. It's a higher efficiency, so it uses less power, so that's why microfarads are also low. Okay, so as you can see, that part reads good. I got 5 microfarads, so we right on the money. We good. Okay, let me check the other side. Okay, right now I left my 1 wire on a C, which is the common. You always check with C. You don't check between fan and HERM. Okay, you always check with the C because that's your common. So now I got 1 wire still on C, and I put the other wires on a HERM, which is it's my compressor. So you can see it reads 45.5.4. You know, this unit's been here for 3 years right now. Okay, this is one of ours. We installed it. You know, I'm taking care of. We're doing maintenance here for a customer, and so far we never had a problem. I just came here to change his filter because he's also a personal friend of mine, and it's Saturday. But you know, that's what we do. Anyway, the why reads 45. Why reads 45, not 50? Okay, it should read 50. Okay, the reason for it is, you know, like I said, those capacitors, they wear out. You know, that's why you need to change them. You know, most common problem with condenser units like this one. Most problem common with condenser unit like this one is capacitor or your breakers, you know, which basically, you know, there was a power surge, something happened, and the unit doesn't get power. You know, very I would say maybe 15% of the cases, you know, it's a compressor, refrigerant, or anything else. You know, I'm showing you this so you can avoid, you know, contractors or those, you know, so-called handymans selling you the whole system just because the one part is bad. You know, unfortunately, you know, to check capacitor, you need one of the meters that reads microfarads. Okay, you're gonna need microfarad meter there. You know, you can with the little meter like this, you know, you can only check power, you know, basics. You know, that's all you can say. That's all I can say about that. But you know, this is a really quick lesson. You know, I'm gonna connect this back. You know, I'm gonna do quick maintenance for my customer here. And you know, remember, before you take any part out, shut the power off. You know, take a lot of pictures so you know how to connect it, everything back in the way it's supposed to be, because you can just cause more damage, you know, and we really don't want that. You know, this whole video is for you, for my customers to determine how to check simple problems. Okay, so I'm gonna put this all back together right now. Just give me a few seconds here. Okay, last advice I can give you, as you can see, I hooked up my capacitor back in, everything is back to normal. When you put a cover on, make sure there's no loose wires. You know, you don't want to pinch one of those wires with your cover, well, because you're gonna short the system. And you know, if you have motherboard and you're gonna pinch low voltage wire from a thermostat, you might damage the motherboard and air handler, and you know, this is really expensive stuff. So this is lesson number 1. I hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, my name is Daniel. Name of my company is Arizona HVAC. We're based in South Florida. My phone number is 561 Air Heat. We got a website on Google, Arizona HVAC LLC. And also we got eBay store. You know, we sell capacitors, we sell contactors, you know, discount prices for customers just like you, you know, that just, you know, either want to fix it yourself or you know, or don't have the money, you know, and you know, buying $40 part or $30 part, or you know, plus shipping, it costs you less, much less than, you know, $400 service call. And you know, this is my new mission. This is what I'm trying to do. It's just awareness, you know. Some of this stuff is really simple. We're gonna do a couple of videos on drain lines, also on the air handlers. So I hope you enjoy it. You know, follow me, give me likes, you know, whatever you like. Thank you again for your time.